Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Cuppy, for asking us out here. Nico and I are friends and obviously partners in crime. We represent the Syracuse Mets baseball team. Nico obviously reports on all sports activities throughout Central New York, so we're just a little whisper of what he gets to do with Syracuse University and the basketball team and the football team and all the high school sports. I really think that Nico does a fantastic job because he's 3, he's 5, and he's 6. So he has to do 3 channels worth of work. I only have to run 1 baseball team. But it's been a very big year for us as the Syracuse Mets, kind of changing over. Nico has been chronologically, taking stock and all that, and kind of watching that and reporting that to the public. I'm going to let Nico say hello here real quick, and then maybe we'll talk about how the Syracuse Mets came to be, kind of get you guys up to speed on the transition from the Chiefs to the Mets.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me here today. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys. And Jason said, what a big year this has been. I even go back to before the season. First of all, there was that buzz and excitement. You guys all saw it when the Mets bought the team, and in my opinion, really saved baseball in our town. I mean, it's so cool. It's just a different vibe, and everything about it is great. But even before the season, the New York Mets working out at the Carrier Dome. Do you guys remember seeing that? That was surreal. That was one of the things where I've been on the job about 13 years now, and I swear I'm in my 30s. I know I look like I'm about 18, but and it was one of those things where not too often do I do one of these and just kind of look around and say, wow, I can't really believe what's happening. And one of those was seeing Noah Syndergaard and the New York Mets working out in the Carrier Dome. I never thought I'd see baseball in the Dome, let alone Major League Baseball in the Dome, even if it was a workout, not a game. That was such a cool thing, but I think that shows the Mets' commitment to Syracuse and Onondaga County in Central New York. Yes, Cuppy.
The Mets had their eye on the situation for the last couple of years. Then this just didn't spring up. And I'm sure, Jason, you and they were charting, and maybe Paul and Billy were chatting about the whole thing. That's what I surmised. And then the opportunity came along, they had the money, and then they saw the opening, and they said, we want to get rid of, we can't live with this Vegas deal any longer, and now here's a chance for us to do something. Yeah. Let's do it, get on with it. I think that's basically...
Well, I think, and I can touch on that, Cuppy, because as Nico said, the Mets essentially saved baseball in Central New York.
Oh, right.
And it was saved before, in 1961, when we became the community baseball club of Central New York. Going back, the Chiefs go back, baseball, the Stars go back again to 1876, when we started first playing professional baseball here in Syracuse. The Mets came into the stadium one day, and they're looking in the history cabinets. They're like, how long has this team been around? I'm like, we've been around longer than a lot of people. And you start throwing around 1876, people kind of think about it. So we were the Stars from 1876 to 1933. And then we became the Chiefs in 1934. I call him Crooked Jack Corbett. Owned the Chiefs at the time. I call him Crooked Jack Corbett because he has a plaque for the Syracuse Baseball Wall of Fame that won't stay straight. It's crooked, so I call him, and I'm sure he was a crook because he was an old-time baseball team owner, so I think it's appropriate that we call him Crooked Jack Corbett. He named the team the Chiefs.
You're putting a lot of guys in that bracket, honey.
Oh, everybody, you can't look at that wall. If you have OCD, everything's crooked on that wall. So we became the Chiefs in '34, and we're the Chiefs owned by individual owners, private owners, and they would buy and they would sell and they would move and they'd switch leagues, and we were in the Eastern League and the International League, and a couple of years no team in Syracuse. And Don Waffle, who was a great friend of the Syracuse Chiefs and now Mets, he's 103 years old. He was the president of the team for 35 years. His mind is still sharp as a tack, and he tells us these stories from time and time again. And he told us the story about 1956. There was a guy, and I think his name, there was 2 guys. I don't remember one name. One name was Joe Reardon, and there was the other guy. And the guy in 1956, one of the guys is a deadbeat, and the other guy is a son of a bitch, according to Don Waffle. And the guy that's a deadbeat, he owned the Syracuse Chiefs at the time, and he left in the middle of the night and took his town to to Allentown. So in the middle of the night, he left and he owed everybody money, so he's a deadbeat. And then there in '58, there was another team, and the guy was going to sell, so the Chiefs came back, and the guy was going to sell the Chiefs to the city of Miami, somebody in Miami. And the gang, I call it, so it was Al DeGeroth and Mayor Henniger and Tom Ryan and Ryan Higgins, somebody named Higgins was in there. Tom Higgins, thank you. They were really the community baseball club of Central New York, and they said, how much are you going to sell the team for to go to Miami? They said $50,000. This was going to be I don't know what the team was. So they said, we'll go raise $50,000. They raised $50,000. They had the same amount of cash the guy had from Miami. The guy sold them to the guy in Miami. The team moves out. Hence, he's a son of a bitch. So then baseball was gone. And then Branch Rickey made a phone call to Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball called Al DeGeroth and Tom Higgins, Mayor Henniger. A couple of years later, 1960, to get ready for or 1960 or 61. Said, you guys still have that 50 grand? Because the Montreal Royals will sell, and you can have the Montreal Royals where Jackie Robinson played before he went to the big leagues. So the gang got together, they went around, they passed the hat, they got the 50 grand back together, and they went to Los Angeles, paid Branch Rickey the 50 grand, and the Community Baseball Club of Central New York was born, and that's what saved baseball really for the first time in Central New York, because now it was community owned, and members of the community had it and wanted it here. And there was, essentially 5,000 owners of the Community Baseball Club of Central New York, 80% of which had one share. How many people in here were members of the Community Baseball Club of Central New York? My father bought a share, he gave it to me. So we had that for years and years and years, and flourished for years and years and years, and did well for years and years and years. And then things started to go a little bit south. In 2013, the team had lost a lot of money, and the board of directors fired everybody and dug me out from under a rock, and we came in to run the team, and to find, to fulfill the goals and dreams of the Community Baseball Club of Central New York. To keep AAA baseball in Central New York, in Syracuse, doing all the good things that it can do. Yes, Copy.
So, 2013.
Yeah.
You're sitting here with an entity, an enterprise, and who locally is going to benefit from it being here, besides the media now having another subject matter to chase around? No hard feeling, but they're at the end of every day, and who's going to benefit dollar-wise from that?
We specifically put $4 million back into the community. We spend $4 million here in Syracuse.
Good enough.
We go around to big cities. Right now we're in Allentown with Syracuse across our check. We go to Super Bowl cities, Indianapolis, Charlotte, North Carolina, Louisville, with Syracuse across our chest, to let them know that we're still here, and Syracuse isn't going out of bad business, and we're representing just like the university does as they go through and on TV. It's part of the community, whether it's the Everson Museum or the universities or Lemoyne or our hospitals or the hockey team or the Symphoria or our amphitheater. That's part of the quality of life to be able to come out. And the things that we do is a little bit different than what some of the other entities do. We're just so involved in everything. We donate to over 153 different organizations. We go to every walk, every benefit. We donate to everything that we can. We have different days at the ballpark for Pride Day, or for Jackie Robinson Day, or Latino Day. Hell, we have 3 dog days. We must love dogs more than we love gay people or African Americans, because they only get 1 day. But who doesn't like dogs more, right? So it's just part of the community. And now with this flourishment of the Mets coming into us, now people are coming from all over the place to go to baseball games. So I'll talk to people, and they're coming from New York, they're coming from Watertown, they're coming from Rochester, they're coming from Buffalo. I just met a woman, she came from Rochester, her and her family were there last weekend, and they're just huge Mets fans, and she says she's going to go to more games in our stadium than she'll go to in Rochester, just because she's a Mets fan. And that has been a difference that I've underestimated, seeing the emergence of the Mets.
Yeah, and one thing, just from the coverage perspective, is we talked about that commitment, bringing the big league club to the Dome that day. But every person, and a lot of these guys are the guys that are they want to be in the major. I mean, they all want to, but they're used to being in the majors throughout their career, and now they're in the minors, but you wouldn't be able to tell talking to them. Every person from the manager, Tony D, down to the players have just been really top-notch people. They're open to having a conversation with you, even when it's not an interview. You guys know it. The media can ask some difficult questions, so a lot I don't agree with sometimes, but these guys always answer with grace and with a smile on their face too. And that can't always be said from professional teams, especially guys that, again, been with the majors for a lot of years. But that's one of the great things for you as fans. You can go to the game any given night, and you're going to see a guy that, Rajai Davis was in the World Series with Cleveland in 2016, not that long ago. Carlos Gomez just called up. He's been in the majors for better part of a decade now. Gregor Blanco. There's a lot of guys that have spent most of their career in the major leagues, and you guys get to see them in Syracuse. So for us in the media, it's fun to cover. And when you take it one step further and you interview these people, they're genuine people. It's nice to encounter that and deal with that kind of person.
We'll go back to the commitment part, because the team that we have on the field here really shows the commitment what the Mets are giving us this year. But everybody always wants to know about Tim Tebow. So I think that, and I'll let Nico answer this because he was there at the first kind of little press conference where Tebow came up, and just to kind of shed the light on because we always have a Tim Tebow day where he talks to the media, because he doesn't do anything individually, he just does it as a group. So I'll let Nico kind of talk about that, and because I know we all want to talk about Tim Tebow, and he is awesome.
He is, and that's one of the things when you meet him, you right away you understand, this is why he has so many fans. I mean, the charity work he does, but even when you just talk to him face to face, he's always smiling. Doesn't matter what kind of question you ask, he answers with a smile, and I don't know, it's one of those things where sometimes, and he's totally different than some of these guys when rehab starts, these established major league guys that come down or whatever, but I mean, I don't know what else I can really say about Tim Tebow except that he's just a genuine good person, and you can see that from outside with his charity work, but just when you talk to him, it's got an infectious personality, and they close up the media session, I want to ask him like 10 more things, like not even baseball related, just to kind of talk to him. Yeah.
Is his personality positively augmented by the fact that he married a Miss Universe?
Well, let me say this. The first time I talked to Tim Tebow at an interview set was actually back in 2012 when he was with the Jets. And that was when they had training camp down in Cortland. And he hasn't changed much, except then he was dealing with New York City media. I guess he still is in the strikes, but not up here in Syracuse. But he still answers every question with a smile, even if it's a question that you feel like deep down he's got to be really annoyed at least to be being asked, but he never shows it. He's a genuine good guy. He really is. And it's a pleasure to talk to him every time.
I think it's easy for him because whether or not he's not quite married to her yet. They're just fiancé, just engaged to Miss Universe. And she's awesome, by the way. She's been to a bunch of games. She's in Lehigh Valley right now. But he's comfortable in his own skin. He knows exactly who he is, which is why it's easy for him to answer questions. And if right now they're going to ask him a question of, you're hitting $160 in the International League, and what do you think of that? He's going to say, you know what, I'm trying my hardest, and if I never make it to the major leagues, it's 100% okay. The only thing that's not going to be okay is if I don't work my hardest every day. He knows exactly who he is. He knows that baseball is number 3 or 4 on his list of priorities. And if he makes it, he makes it. If he doesn't, he doesn't, because he's doing God's work and God's will, and and he just wants to do nice things. And I have kind of a man crush on him. I don't have kind of a man crush on him. I have a 100% man crush on him because he's super awesome. He's so hunky, and he's just a good dude. He's just super nice. I have a little man crush on Rajai Davis too, very similar. So, but we have Tebow, so that is a big draw. And I think everybody thinks that we've doubled the stadium attendance so far. We had one of the best Aprils in the history of April. April and May are ridiculous times to play baseball in Syracuse, New York. And people are still coming out. I think it's 90% New York Mets and 10% Tebow. And I go around the stadium and I ask the fans, and they're not there to see Tebow, they're there to see the Mets. And Mr. Wilpon and the Mets, coming to Syracuse, and like Cuppy had mentioned, obviously they did have their eyes on us, and the board of directors did a good job to reach out to them, and they became the perfect fit because not only did they buy the team, we spent $18 million buying the team. All the shareholders got a check. They made a commitment to at least stay for the 6 years that were on the lease. They could have bought out of the lease with the amount of change in Mr. Wilpon's pocket and moved it to wherever they wanted to move it to. But they want to stay here in Syracuse, and they're signing a lease that's going to keep us here for another 25 years to 2043. And he sees it for a variety of reasons. He wants to brand the Mets as New York's team. The Yankees don't have any other team in New York. They've got the Mets have the Brooklyn Cyclones, they've got the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, they've got the Syracuse Mets and the New York Mets. So 4 of their big teams are right here in the state of New York. So that's important to him. And he asked me, he said, what's going to help? I said, winning team's going to help. He goes, I will buy you a winner. He goes, I don't know if they're going to win it, but we'll always buy it. And they did. We have one of the craziest teams in the history of the International League. We had Carlos Gomez, he's upstairs. We had 21 of our 25 guys on opening day had played in the major leagues. We're the oldest team in the minor leagues. We have the oldest player still currently in the minor leagues. Our team is older than probably half of the major league teams. We're old, which is not a bad thing. We're also in first place. So guys like Carlos Gomez, Hector Santiago was a 2-time All-Star major league pitcher. He just got called up. I don't know if you knew that yet. Rajai Davis, was a World Series hero. Gregor Blanco has 2 or 4 World Series rings.
Oh, he was with the Giants.
I know he has 2 from them. I heard a rumor that he has 4.
I'll look into that for you.
And we have a bunch of other guys that not only are going to be there next year, Cuppy, they're there now. We're so close. They're taking players. We don't even know who's on our team. We've had over 35 player moves in the month of April.
Yeah.
So guys are going up to pitch, coming back down, going up to hit, coming back down, buying their contracts.
How does that work?
All the players work for the New York Mets. So they are their property.
Everybody has to understand that the Mets are not responsible for the payroll.
The Syracuse Mets are not. I have nothing to do with the baseball. People are very disappointed when they find out that I actually just make sure the bathrooms are clean and the beer is cold and the hot dogs are hot. It's about all I do. The Mets, whether we were owned by the Community Baseball Club of Central New York and we were affiliated with we've been around so long, we've already been affiliated with the Mets. They were here in '62. Whether we're affiliated with the Yankees or the Blue Jays or whoever, we are just the affiliate. They make all the baseball decisions. So they work for them. So, and the common misconception is that these guys in the minor leagues don't make any money. They might not have used to make any money. Now they make a tremendous amount of money. If you're on the 40-man roster, and we have at least 10 of those guys on our roster, you make $500,000 a year. To buy this team that we have, the Gregor Blancos, the Carlos Gomez's of the worlds, the Adani Hecavarias, I can't pronounce his name.
Good.
Thank you. You give them $100,000 to show up in Syracuse, and if you're still there by the end of May, you get another couple $100,000.
Wow.
So they do okay. And while they're here, they buy cars. their families come in. Some guys stay. Hell, Steve Grilly stayed. He's been here for 40 years and bought a bar. So, other guys stay. They bring their families here. People come and visit them. It's a big boost to our economy. Yes, ma'am.
You were talking about how old the team is. How about looking for some young talent like in our high schools?
We won't even look at anybody. So what we are here for is developmental baseball. I could go down into the manager's office and say, there's a kid that throws 110 miles an hour at Cicero, North Syracuse. They'll say, the scouts will find him. That's scouting, that's not development. And the scouts will find him. So none of the players are from New York, none of the players live in New York. If you're good enough, they'll find you. They found Pat Corbett. He pitched last night for the Washington Nationals. He lost to the New York Mets. He's 4-2, and he's an awesome pitcher. The North doesn't build baseball players like the rest of the world. They're either concentrate on different sports, or there's not enough time for them to develop. They like pitchers out of the North because their arms aren't as tired as those guys in the South that play baseball all the time. So, but scouting is not something that has happened at this level through this department.
So you're saying the Major League Scouts don't hang around here?
Major League Scouts come every single game to our place. World Scouts come every game. So a lot of times we'll have scouts from the Nippon Ham Fighters. We'll have scouts from the Chicago White Sox, and our managers, more specifically Randy Knorr. When we've historically stunk at baseball. So to be able to say the Syracuse Mets are in first place is an awesome thing. Nico's trying to usually make us sound good. We're usually 30 games out of first place.
Let me add something. If you go to the game at the
historic NBT Bank Stadium.
The historic NBT, I call it the Garcia Stadium. And you sit there behind the plate, behind home plate, you see a half a dozen guys with a stopwatch and a clipboard making notes about the game. Those are scouts from other teams, I think, in the International League.
No, not the Major League. So they're there. So the player to be named later is usually coming from somewhere in the minor league. So it could be, someone from single A, someone from double A, someone from wherever. So that they might try to, a player for cash and a player to be named later. That's usually, a double A, triple A guy. A lot of our guys, Japan and Korea and Taiwan, they're over here. I remember in 2014, Manny Del Carmen, that's when we had started with the get on board, and I got on board, we were in first place. And I was at a bar with Manny Del Carmen, and he says, I think I'm getting off board. I said, what do you mean you're gonna get off board? He's like, a team from Taiwan wanted him. And I said, what do you mean? Why are you gonna go to Taiwan? We're gonna go to the playoffs. He's like, the Nationals pay me $250,000, and they're gonna give me $800,000. I said, enjoy Taiwan. So when you get a little bit later in your career, the doors open up in Taiwan and Korea and Mexico and all that stuff. You can continue to play baseball around the world, and just like basketball, right? What are some of the other? They get some good money to play in Greece,
Europe, especially Europe, yeah.
In Europe. So, that's what the scouts are doing. Yes, sir.
I think we all locally in Syracuse agree that Tim Tebow is a drawing card, right? I don't know what
doesn't hurt,
but some people will go simply because of the knowledge and the reputation. What if Tim continues to bat just slightly over 100? At what point is the New York Mets decision to say, hey, we can't afford to have his space taken at the AAA, send him down to AA to Binghamton? At what point do they get to you and say, hey, we can't afford to have Tim here because of his low batting average, we're going to send somebody else down and send him down to Binghamton? Are you involved in that kind of a...
I am not involved in that. And the way I think it'll work out is that they have a commitment to Tim Tebow. If he proves that he can't do it, you've got to think about Tim Tebow. And I really think you need to think about him this way. He was a football player. Last time he played baseball was in high school. He hasn't played baseball essentially for a decade. He won one Heisman Trophy.
Yep.
He won 2 national championships. He played professional football. The rest of humanity likes to think that he was a horrible football player in the NFL. He won a playoff game against my Pittsburgh Steelers, more so than anybody on the planet can do. He decided to give a chance at baseball. He did single A. Last year in double A, he hit 280 and hit like 11 home runs. Most of the guys in double A didn't hit 280 and hit 11 home runs. He hit 270 in spring training. He came up here. AAA is a little bit different. It's a really good league. There's still people that go out there that think that we're the minor leagues, think these guys are Bush League players. These guys are unbelievable baseball players. The athletic prowess that is on our field for $15 is an unbelievable thing to be able to watch. The top 750 baseball players in the world play in the major leagues. The next 750 play between the International League and the Pacific Coast League. Is Tim Tebow one of the 750? I don't know. But he's amazing. He's gotten off to a little slow start, but he's got a hit in probably 6 of his last 8 games.
Some stats for you from my sportscast last night. In the last week, he's raised his batting average, and just the last 7 days, 25 points. From 131 to 156. Now, I get it, 156 isn't a good batting average, but in 7 days, he's raised it up 25 points. And he's got a hit in 7 of his last 9 games, including his first home run of the season was Sunday.
Yeah.
So the trajectory is, you make a great point at what point, but I think now, to Jason's point, AAA is a different animal. So it took a month and a half to get used to.
The
But I
pitchers
think
here are
it's
pitchers.
the movement with the pitches too, but I think he's getting used to it. You can see he's more comfortable. Anytime you get 7 hits in 9 games, or maybe it's 7 out of 8. Maybe it's 7 out of 8. But anyways, my point is that me personally, I was kind of in your same mindset. Boy, is this going to keep going? But now I'm seeing this the last couple of weeks. It's a different guy at the plate. I'm really excited to see where he'll be a month from now.
Does he start most of the games?
He plays essentially 12 out of 14 days.
Yeah.
Because they want to get him as advanced because he is behind the curve. It takes you, what do they say, 10,000 pitches or 10,000 hours or something like that. They're trying to get him to see as many pitches as they possibly can. The difference between AA and AAA pitching is AA, they're just young studs and they just throw gas. They just throw gas. AAA, we got a couple of guys that have just been in the big leagues, guys go back and forth to the big leagues, and they pitch. So it's different speeds, different elevations, different sides, and they're your smarter pitchers. And they like. I know where Tim Tebow has a hard time hitting it. The analytics behind all this stuff. Every game, there's 4 cameras on every player. And there's a guy on every team, and he types in where every single pitch goes. If you look at our stadium, there's a black box right behind home plate. It's called TrackMan. And it does exactly that. It tracks men. And it watches every pitch, wherever hit goes. It knows where the pitcher's foot lands. It knows where the ball is thrown from his hand. It knows the rotation speed of which that pitcher throws. And it knows where Tim Tebow hits it. So the second that someone from our Mets goes to the major leagues and is playing against whomever it is, so they just called Hector Santiago up, and against the Washington Nationals, they're going to go into their little computer, they're going to type up Hector Santiago, and they're going to know every pitch he's ever thrown against the Washington Nationals. He throws it here, and they have little boxes, and everyone's got a hot and a cold zone. And they're saying Tim Tebow's cold zone is here, wherever it is. And if that pitcher can throw it there, the odds are he's not going to hit it. If the pitcher makes a mistake, that's when balls go out of the park. Yes, ma'am.
Talking about balls, I read an article that the minor leagues did not use the same balls as the major league.
We used to. This year we're using the same
Right.
baseball as the major leagues.
Yeah.
It's horrible because it's twice as expensive. So we went from a $4.80 baseball to a $10.50 baseball. And I have compassion in my heart for those days that Texas did not want those baseballs to go into the stadium. But the guys are fun with them and give them out.
Is it harder to hit them?
It's tighter wound. So that as you go down from a major league ball to a AAA to a AA to a, when you get to a high school game, the stitching on the ball, it seems like a quarter of an inch, whereas a major league ball, there's practically none. Because the more you give those pitchers a little bit of something that they can use as resistance, they can do more stuff with the ball. That's why they would cheat and put like files on it and put Vaseline different places and put that on the ball.
Pine tar.
A little pine tar, you leave it just kind of here on your glove and tap it and give it something, and the catcher throws it out real fast. They want those balls to be as good as possible. But we're cheap, so we try to throw them back in to the game. Jody Pacello, he rubs them up real nice, makes them look new, and hopes the umpire doesn't notice them.
So you have
And we do, just so you know, we have between 10 and we go through 10 and 12 dozen balls a game. So we play 70 games.
So the club is supplying all the equipment, balls, bat?
We have what's called a player. We have a player development contract, a PDC. So it's all set. So we provide the buses, the uniforms, the dirt, the stadium. We play a percentage of the bats and the balls. The big league club plays the other part of that. We pay for the first 17 rooms on a road trip. We give them the meal money. They reimburse us for the meal money. So it's a little bit of a partnership. Yeah.
Just a couple things. Apropos Tebow, you can probably count on one hand. I don't have the whole array of baseball history and individual players, but the number of players who have been successful at another sport and then have tried to become successful in baseball and actually make it to the majors, it's probably fewer than you could count on one hand that actually do eventually make it in that second sport. So the challenge he's got, given the fact that you're saying he didn't play baseball since high school, is enormous.
What he's doing is
And
amazing.
some people suggested the most difficult task in all of sports is hitting a baseball, especially at higher levels.
Yeah.
But the question I had though was, some of us actually remember MacArthur Stadium.
I remember MacArthur Stadium. I was in it.
And we might even remember vaguely Archbold Stadium.
I was in Archibald Stadium too. My father had me steal a chair out of it on the last game.
Yeah, the dome replaced Archbold, and the current NBT Stadium replaced MacArthur. And there was a dispute as to where to locate that stadium. But I think now I've heard that there's a proposal, or maybe it's locked in, to make certain additional improvements to NBT Bank Stadium, which ironically might be occurring at the same time that the dome is being improved in some way or another. Is there a plan to, I don't know what needs to be improved in
A lot needs to be improved. It's awesome when you come into our stadium and you say it's a great stadium. She still is a great stadium. We're the 4th oldest stadium in the league.
Really?
And she needs a facelift. So the governor of New York has been here and committed with Joni Mahoney at the time. We're going to get $25 million worth of improvements. Dome's going to get like $300 million worth.
128, yeah.
128?
Yeah.
Need more. The roof's got to be expensive. So we're going to get some improvements. We're going to get a new field and mostly fan amenity stuff. Work on different ways to get into the stadium. It's 26 steps to get up to historic NBT Bank Stadium. It was supposed to originally be a ground level entrance stadium, and it got value engineered to, instead of dig it out and make you walk straight in, they think it'd be easy to walk up 26 steps to join.
Not for an 88-year-old guy.
Oh, you think? It's not even nice for a 50-year-old guy.
Maybe snow in the room, but there's fire in the furnace.
That's right. So yeah, improvements are coming. It's a great stadium, it's a great field. Just needs a little bit of, there's a lot of stuff, air conditioning and heating and pipes and lighting. We have the old lights, and now we can put in LEDs and be more energy efficient and turn on faster.
Who owns that stadium?
The county.
Yeah.
Oh. So you really need to have the
It's a county park.
Because it's their asset. And they have to belly up, or they have to find the money.
They're coming up with half, and the state's coming up with half. And then we're extending our lease to make sure that by the time we're done, then they raise the rent every year so that we pay a good portion of it through our rent.
And question on travel with an international league. I can see where it makes sense to drive a bus down from Syracuse to Scranton-Wilkes-Barre. What is it when you go down to Charlotte? Do you fly or do you take a bus?
We fly to Charlotte, and then they'll usually pair us up. From Charlotte, we'll go to Gwinnett, then we'll bus to Gwinnett, which is Atlanta, and then we'll fly back home. So now we take 2 buses to Lehigh Valley. We take 2 buses when we travel, and that's kind of the thing is people think that it's, they don't know about the grind of professional baseball players. So, they get on the bus today to go to Lehigh Valley. We're going to play 3 games there.
Yeah.
3 games there, get in the bus after the game, come back home. We'll play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday here. Then they get in 2 buses and go to Buffalo and play Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Thursday, get on a bus, go 7.5 hours to Pawtucket to play Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
So
Monday.
you go right through Syracuse to get to Pawtucket?
They go right back home, and they play 140 games in 157 days. They just play every day. Baseball players have literally no idea what day of the week it is. You go up to them, they're like, "What's today?" And they're like, "It's Wednesday." "Oh, okay."
Where do they live around here?
A variety of places, depends. So we have a lot of housing options for the guys. A lot of the guys that go up and down a lot just live in hotels because they a lot of people that rent houses, they want a 6-month lease. And our guys, every single one of them thinks they're going to the big leagues. So nobody wants to do a 6-month lease. So we find guys that do month-to-month leases. There's some host families. And we have a lot of different apartment complexes that'll rent month to month. And then some guys that get paid a lot of money, they don't really care, and they'll just go and live in a really nice spot.
I've got a great idea. Continue having a $1 hot dog.
It's the greatest invention in the history of baseball. I'll tell you my Dollar Thursday story.
What is it?
It's called Dollar Thursday. I went to Auburn years ago. And I used to work in Batavia, and they would tell me about Dollar Thursday. I said, "What are you guys, nuts? Sell stuff for $1?" I got to Auburn, and I got to be the general manager there, and I went to the boss. I said, "We got to get rid of Dollar Thursday." He goes, "Ha, kid, if it ain't broke, don't fix it." He's like, "Dollar Thursday stays, and it's going to be all right." So we're getting ready for our first season, and the boss comes to me. His name was Tom Gainey. He was the president of Savannah Bank. And he's like, "Take this piece of paper, you're gonna need it." I said, "For what?" And he goes, "You're not gonna be ready for the first Dollar Thursday." And I said, "What do you mean we're not gonna be ready?" He goes, "Kid, you're not gonna be ready." He goes, "I'm watching you, you're making a lot of marketing, there's a lot of buzz around it. You're not gonna be ready. Hold on to that piece of paper." Put a piece of paper in my pocket. Dollar Thursday comes around, it's a madhouse. It's like we have 2,500 seats, we have like 3,000 people in Auburn. It's the first inning, I'm sweating, we're out of hot dogs. Guy comes over, he's got a stogie, he's like, "I told you weren't gonna be ready." And I go, "We're out of hot dogs." He's like, "You got that piece of paper?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Call it." I get it out, I call it up. Guy on the other end of the phone goes, "You must be out of hot dogs." I go, who's this? He goes, it's Salmon Delicado. I'll be there in 5 minutes with 1,000 hot dogs.
Is it a hot dog?
It's a Hoffman hot dog. And it's the same 6-to-1 natural casing, Frank. You get it at Heights. It's better at Heights than it is at our stadium, but that's fine. And it costs us, it really cost us about $1 for a hot dog. But it doesn't cost us $1 for a cup of soda. It doesn't cost us $2 for beer. That's a dumb state law that it had to be $2. But now we get 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people some nights on these Dollar Thursdays, and guess what? They all buy a ticket. We're in the ticket selling business. We're not in the hot dog selling business. The company that we farm out for concessions is in the hot dog selling business. We're in the ticket selling business, and guess what? When people buy a ticket, they buy hot dogs. So giving away the free tickets is just not a good business model. So we have food discounts. People care how much a hot dog is. People care how much a beer is, a soda is. So we have food discounts on 6 of our 7 days, and we sell tickets. Then Manja Mondays is all you can eat. Taco Tuesdays, 50-cent chicken wings on Wednesdays. Last Wednesday we went through 4,000 chicken wings.
That's the tough part when we're going to shoot the game. When I go cover it, it's a big dilemma because you don't know when a home run's going to happen in baseball. It's like, well, and there's a lot of food options, as Jason said. There's wings, there's salt potatoes, there's pizza, whatever. And I'm like, well, do I eat now and risk missing a home run? Or do I starve a little bit longer and I never get it right?
Yeah.
I tried to wait 2 times ago. It was a couple weeks ago. And I was like, I'm just going to wait. No runs until the 7th inning. I went about 10 hours without eating. Then the next time I went, which was last week, I'm like, all right, I learned my lesson last time. I'm going to eat as soon as I get to the ballpark. And I'm sitting there eating my boneless chicken wings, back-to-back home runs. And we missed it because sometimes I don't do a lot of my own camera work anymore, but the baseball games are something I still love to do my own camera work with that. And and I got lucky. That was the 5 home run game. So I still got 3 other ones. But I'm like, it's not to interrupt the food stuff, but there's so many choices that you spend so much time, and then sometimes if you're me, you're lucky you miss home runs or
people yell at us. We have the most food. We have gluten-free. We've got veggie burgers. We got turkey burgers. We've got everything. And
I liked your boneless wings last week.
Boneless wings are solid.
Yeah. Yes.
One of the smart moves the Mets made, and this is obviously a presentation here, is that when the turmoil occurred and the Simone family got eased out and
eased out, the board fired him.
You were hired. You were hired as kind of the key marketing person as far as, and did a great job. But then when the Mets, when the Wilpon family bought the Mets, did you have any? You don't have to reveal this, but did you have any competition? Did they just conclude that you had done such a great job?
I said, what happens to me? They said, we're done, but we're not stupid. We're going to keep you. We're going to keep everybody. You guys took a team that lost $1 million, and now you guys make money. We're going to keep you, at least for a couple of years, then we'll fire you. We'll figure it out, and that's it. So, and I'm just glad that they did that because the staff does a fantastic job, and they kept all of us on.
Were you the only person that knew how the T-shirt gun works? You know how they fire?
No, I don't technically even know how to shoot the T-shirt gun. I just generally manage the T-shirt gun, and I tell them, I was like, listen, it's a T-shirt gun. We can only shoot 1 T-shirt at a time. You gotta have a little bit of showmanship to it, and you gotta give them the Hulk Hogan, and I want to see more dramatic shots. Don't take the easy shots. You got this big, huge net. I want you to go out into the field, shoot it up high, and make it just go over and land. The little girl goes, well, sometimes I don't make it, and they boo me. I'm like, they love to boo. They want you to fail so they could boo you, and then hurry up and get another one in. They're like, oh, okay.
And you mentioned that timeline. Well, go ahead.
When you covered the Mets, it was just you?
It depends.
This is interesting how they do it.
Yeah, no, it really depends. Right now we do a bit of what we call a pool system because as Jason mentioned, there are 70 home games And summer is the one time when a lot of broadcasters like to take a vacation. Don't worry when you see me off the air for 2 weeks in July. I'm not going anywhere, just a vacation. No, so we actually, between us, Channel 9 and Spectrum News, though we are competitors, we actually pool some of the games that are at the stadium. So we'll take turns. So for instance, Channel 9 shot the game on Sunday, and we all use their video. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so...
We're the only dumb ones that have to be there every day.
Well, it became a thing where, and this was only the last few years that we started doing it, where we, let's say, Cuppy's from Spectrum, Jason Channel 9, I'm on Channel 3, we're all sitting next to the same window with our cameras, and we just looked at each other like, what are we doing? And let's say Jason leaves one inning before me, and I've got the home run he doesn't, and you kind of feel bad for the guy, you might just help him out anyway. So yeah, that's what it became, but
I think it's a great system.
yeah, it's a good system. It ensures, because when we weren't in the pool, my sports department is two people. We get some help from news photographers, but it's myself and my weekend guy, Matt. And so when you have talking about 70 home games for 2 people to try and get, it can be very difficult. So it's really beneficial for us. As far as if I go alone, a lot of times I do. Like I mentioned, being our sports director, I have to be in the studio.
You need somebody who's 86 years old just to open a door.
If you'd like to, sure. Yeah, a lot of times I don't do my own camera work anymore, but when it's a baseball game, it's not incredibly difficult to shoot, and you're there with some cool people like Jason, and it's a nice day like today, you're pointing a camera on a window, it's not a bad deal. So I still like to shoot the baseball games. Whereas football, for instance, like SU football games, I still enjoy that, but it's a workout, because the action always has to be coming at you. So if there's a quick turnover, you're suddenly running to the other sideline, and it's a workout. It's not a hand up over. Yeah.
Jason, I want to compliment you on your idea of walking up and down the stands and talking to different people in the stands. Last year, my grandson, you happened to be walking past where we were sitting, and I kind of said to my grandson, this is the manager, and you probably spent 30 or 40 seconds talking to my grandson. He was so impressed by somebody in the organization took the time to talk to one of the kids in the stands. So that's a great idea on a PR point. Be available to...
My guy, Jack Trotz, taught me that in Watertown, New York. And he said, you set me out front and said, you shake hands with everybody on their way out, and you thank them for coming. If they got any problems, your job to fix it. I was the intern. It's like, why don't you do that? He's like, because you're going to do it. So,
and I can piggyback off that. You mentioned a minute ago, or go back to the transition, from the Simones to Jason, and the difference I've seen in covering the team is just from 13 to even Jason with the national days was just incredible between the promotions, the ideas like being the salt potatoes for a day or a weekend, things like that. That gets people excited. Remember how fast that salt potatoes gear sold? And now it's even taken to another level with a team like when you combine Jason with the Mets having this vested interest because they own the team. It's not just an affiliation, they actually own the team. The bottom line does affect them in some way. It's not, if you told me in say 2012 that in 7 years I'd be covering the team right now than I am with all the excitement, with the professionalism we see, I probably would have laughed at you a little bit. And I'm not trying to be mean to the old regime there, but it is night and day, and it's only been just a few years. And I'm not just saying that because he's here, but
he's saying that because I'm right standing next to him.
No, but it is incredible. And anything I need, or even a question, I text Jason, he gets right back to me. It was never that way, Yeah.
That would be a very interesting story if you would like to tell it of what happened when they told Tex and his son, have a nice day, don't
It's
come back
business,
tomorrow.
It's business,
Okay, somebody had to make that call.
Sure.
Not us, not me and Nico.
I hope that I understand.
Nope.
But I got an idea of somebody said to somebody, get rid of those guys or something.
Sure.
Kind of,
We look forward. We go forward,
Yes.
and we've
Okay.
got a sunshiny
Good point.
day, and we got a great season. It's only May. We have the Yankees
Which is
coming
crazy.
in this weekend. Seems like we played 100 games already. And we're just getting in. School's just getting out. We've got our education days. We've got our
First place.
first place.
And I think this is the latest you've been first place since 2014.
2014.
Yeah.
And we got a great manager, Tony DeFrancisco. He's just great.
what makes him so good?
He's Tony D. He's a personality. He's down to earth. He has command of respect of the clubhouse. He's different. He just does his own thing, and he's accountable, and he makes the guys do more work than any other manager I've ever seen. AAA guys think they're big league guys, because many of them are, especially on our team. And he's got them out there taking infield. He's got them out there doing, PFPs, which is pitchers fielding practice, stuff that they never have to do. He's got them hitting. He's got them hitting, and he works them, and he reminds them of what they're here for, and getting back to the goal of continuing to play baseball. If they're not going to make it to the Mets, there's 10 scouts out there that are looking for people. There's 10 scouts from Japan or Korea that are looking to pay someone to play baseball. So you may not be impressing or have a spot with the New York Mets, but you have a spot somewhere, and that's why you got to go out every day and be your best, because you might impress the right person to continue your career.
And you know what story I'm going to tell about the manager, Tony DeFrancesco. I enjoyed talking to him. He really got my respect in that road trip to Lehigh Valley a few weeks. Who was the pitcher?
Jacob Rain.
It was Jacob, Rain, and he's pitcher on the Mets. He was with the New York Mets, and it was Reese.
A couple of days earlier.
It was literally 2 days before this game in Lehigh Valley. He was with the New York Mets, and he gave up a home run to Reese Hoskins, the Philadelphia Phillies, which is Lehigh Valley's parent club. And to kind of, the modern term troll him, but to kind of be jerks to him, Lehigh Valley played the video of him giving up the home run, just to be trying to get under his skin or whatever. Tony D saw that, found out who the general manager of Lehigh Valley was, and ripped him a new one because it was unprofessional. They did that. I think a lot of managers at the AAA level,
and made the video guy come to the clubhouse and apologize.
Yeah, I did not know that part of it. A lot of managers are probably just like, well, it's baseball, let that go. But he cares so much about his players that he made this guy apologize. He, yelled at the general manager.
He's the reason we have 2 buses going to Lehigh Valley. We're cheap. We usually only have 1 bus going to there, but he wanted a little better thing for the players.
He defends his players.
We got 2 buses going to Lehigh Valley.
Yeah, something to be said for that, right? He's going to have your back.
And having you guys pop up.
Yeah.
That's just amazing.
He's Tony D. So,
He wants to be the manager of the Mets on one of these days.
he would love to get to the big leagues, whether that's bench coach, whether that's manager, whatever it is. He's a winner too. He is like in the top 10 of all-time wins in AAA or just in baseball. And he's from like Suffern, New York. It's like Goodfellas in our coaching room with Tony DeFrancesco and Benny DiStefano. They're sitting there yelling at each other, slapping their hands. I go in there, it's like the mafia. But we really appreciate you guys coming out. I know that I got to get back to the stadium. I hope you guys will come out to the stadium. I hope you'll watch Nico on channel 3, 5, or 6, or any other stations.
Hit the button, you'll find me somewhere.
I fall asleep with you.
Well, hang on.
Don't tell your husband next to you. Don't tell him. My wife falls asleep next to me too all the time.
I appreciate you guys having us. And anybody who watches this, thanks for watching me too. I genuinely appreciate it.
Next week is an open date. The following week, I forget who we're going to have, but come anyway. This has been a wonderful experience. Tell your friends what's going on here in the Manlius Senior Center and the library.
Tell your friends and I'll come back someday.
I need a